much energon.
Too much energon, like this podcast.
The beasts are here, McLeod, for the gathering.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings, Megatron.
Then they'd better stay out of my way.
Blah, 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
Big time Gary himself.
Man, these things look like toys.
Max them all! Max them all! Does that mean transform?
Cheetor, what have you done? I am transformed.
Sigma balls, Gary.
No! Not that! Ah!
Greetings, Maximals! Welcome to episode 114 of Too Much Energon, the podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. Coming to you live from a mysterious floating mountain somewhere hidden on planet Energon, I am the Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm not on a mysterious floating mountain. I'm on an Energon island.
Oh.
That's right. Made out of pure Energon.
And because we're both kind of in beast mode all the time, being the fleshy beings that we are, we don't have to worry about the radiation.
That's right. We can handle it.
Yes, we can.
But we never snort it. Unless.
Not anymore. Unless, a few drinks in and...
We really want to take Megatron down a notch, yeah.
You just hooked up with someone and they say they want a party,
You're like, hey, how much Energon have you done before? None? Wow.
So this week on Too Much Energon, we're still traveling back to the past, to old recordings.
That's right.
We're going to be talking about episode 6, or issue 6.
Issue 6.
Issue 6 of the 2021 Beast Wars comic book. Now, we originally recorded this a couple of years back now as part of a Patreon spin-off series called Too Much Galavar. Galavar. That show ended up going defunct, but it's being repurposed as a episode of Too Much Energon, as will the next several. If you're listening along with us on a week-to-week basis, I've already given you the spiel before, but
yeah.
In case you're new to the show. Also, at the time, because it was Patreon only, we weren't doing video, so we're going to cut away to a static image of something.
I don't know, Dinobot's butt.
Something from the comic. I don't even remember what it is now at this point, but I'll find out in
Galavar in a dumpster?
Before we get into that, though, I want to show off something that I bought recently.
Oh?
Yes.
Uh-oh, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's Lio Convoy.
This is the Transformers Legacy Evolution Lio Convoy.
Get rid of that virtual background. We need to see the definition in his legs for this to be real.
Oh, actually, speaking of virtual backgrounds, I just realized we still have Mac Tonight going on.
I don't care. I hope that the TME fans are like, why do they have Mac Tonight?
Maybe that will encourage people to go check out the thing that we recorded recently talking about Mac Tonight. So yeah.
This guy doesn't skip leg day. Like, no offense, Optimus Prime, but Lio Convoy, he's got like this guy looks like he could leg press 1,000 pounds.
There we go.
Oh, well, he's a transformer. He could 10,000 pounds, I dare say.
Easily. The packaging calls this guy Lio Prime, which I think that has to do with trademark reasons, but I have always refused to call him Lio Prime. He is Lio Convoy in my mind and in my heart. And in all of your hearts as well.
That's right.
I certainly hope. Anyway. Well, yeah, I just wanted to show that off because I haven't really. It's been a while since I've talked about toys on the show. I think the last time was Big Time Gary on TME number 100.
Big Time Gary.
Big Time Gary. All right, let's get.
I want one of these Transformers. These are legit, right? These are Hasbro authorized.
They're I think they're third party, but they are like officially licensed or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And here I was thinking that they weren't. Amazing.
indeed.
Japan is a wonderful place, ladies and gentlemen. Except when it's not.
Except when it's not.
Hmm.
They've got some problems going on over there right now.
Oh, yeah, they got a lot of things going on.
Where is my goddamn Mac tonight? There he is. We're going back to Mac tonight,
We're going
folks.
back to Mac.
Go into the back to Mac snack attack. Anyway, without further ado, here is us from the past talking about issue 6 of the 2021 Beast Wars comic book.
Too much energy.
So this issue is written by Eric Burnham, just like the previous
Fan of the
5.
show.
Friend of the show, yep.
Friend of the show, yeah.
And art by Josh Burcham, also a friend of the show.
Yep, friend of the show.
Letters by Jake M. Wood, and a bunch of editors and whatnot, yada yada yada. Anyway, the issue opens up with Tarantulas like walking through a ship. He's looking for Rat Trap, and I believe it's the Axelon. Yes, it's been a while since I read issue 5.
So the Predacons are assaulting the Axelon,
Right.
because they followed Dinobot and Nyx, and they're like, well, now's our chance. The Axelon doesn't have any like weapons operating, right? Let's take them down and win the Beast Wars once and for all.
Blah 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
And the blah 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 is actually interesting this episode. Like you were saying, it opens with, I guess, Tarantula snuck on the Axelon, and he's hunting Rat Trap, and I guess Rat Trap had avoided the conflict outside, and Rat Trap's up in the rafters, and there's some grade A shit talking by Tarantulas.
Yeah.
He's like knocking him down, like the Predacons will kill your crewmates, and you're just hiding here like a rat.
We can freely harvest the raw energon of this world and bring a new world order to Cybertron.
I feel you should know how the future will unfold, since you won't be there. And he like whips his gun around, and then because he thought he heard him, and he's gone.
So
Go
what
ahead.
if I don't get to pull the fool apart circuit by circuit? He'll still be blown straight to the pit, and, well, what do we have here?
What do we have here? He stumbles upon the tech lab.
Yeah.
And so he's like, little delay won't change anything.
In that very Tarantulas kind of way.
That's how I can't help but hear his like creepy laugh like that. It's very Tim Burton-esque how they draw his spider legs in his robot form. Very like spindly, angular. But
Yep.
basically he drops into the tech lab. I know.
Yes,
He
listeners.
drops into the tech lab to do some science bullshit, while it cuts to everyone else fighting outside. And wow, is this colorful? I am digging the colors going on here.
Dinobot literally rips the arm off of the right arm off of Waspinator and starts beating the shit out of him with it.
It's pretty satisfying. He rips his arm off and he's like, oh, he beats the shit out of him with his own arm. Shows Cheetor duking it out with Scorponok. Kudos to it was Eric Burnham, right? Is the writer?
Yes.
I know that he's watched the show because Scorponok is always fighting with Cheetor.
That is true, yeah.
And like often those two are the ones that are paired up, and Cheetor usually loses. And I don't know. I thought it was kind of like nice seeing them skirmishing back there.
You know what I will say? I do like the way the artist draws Terrorsaur.
Yes.
Yeah. I've shit talked the art in this book ad nauseum, but I actually like the way Terrorsaur looks in this
I
comic.
like Nyx and Terrorsaur a lot. Man, the coloring there's pink and like blues and bright green for the grass and yellow, and they've got movement lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's very cyberpunky. It's very uh like synth wave esque. I'm expecting like a picture of like Windows 95 and like palm trees going by in the background. Very Outrun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually
s-
really like the scene. It's a good contrast to the very chromatic like blacks and grays of the tarantulas stalking scene earlier.
so
Or yeah, you
speaking
were
of,
saying Pterosaur?
oh yeah, so Pterosaur gets ambushed by Nyx, and then we cut to the speaking of Tarantulas, we cut back to inside the Axelon, and Tarantulas is in the tech lab, and he finds out like by fucking around with the computer system that uh, the Axelon was carrying a bunch of stasis pods, and they ejected them into orbit. Which I feel like if they had just looked out a window when they were in space, they could have noticed that.
Hey, space is a really big place. You actually can't see shit out those windows.
I meant
Yeah.
that. I meant
I
that
know.
metaphorically.
Just look outside.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
roll down a window, okay?
Well, it makes you well, they were crashing, so maybe they didn't pick up because presumably the dark side has, if you're going to engage in space combat, you're going to have sonar or ways of locating enemy craft, correct?
Right.
So it would make sense that they would already know that, but I kind of like this because this information not being taken for granted and it showing us that Tarantula stumbled upon this. Out of all people,
Yeah.
Tarantulas is like the last one that I want with this information.
Well, and not to get too far ahead, but at the end of the book, it straight up teases that the next issue is going to involve Black Arachnia. So presumably,
Yeah.
Tarantulas like takes this information and is like, "Hoo-hoo, I'm going to make myself a spider girlfriend."
He does.
And he does indeed. Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing this Black Arachnia's the comic version of Black Arachnia.
Me too.
So what? Rat Trap's like looking at him through like he's pulling a Metal Gear Solid and he's crawling around in vents.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm just a scrounger. I just thought up something I can scrounge up that'll knock the Predacon right on his skid plate. He's
So,
like, hang on,
props-
folks. Rat
props
traps are
to-
coming.
Props to the writer. Like I'll give him credit here. Skid plate is actually like something that Rat Trap says a couple of times in the Beast Wars show.
This because it's still Eric Burnham that wrote this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We've said that like 3 times.
Yeah.
This is this is very well done. Of course, when we have good things to say about him,
He'll
he's
never
not
hear
able to
this.
listen.
Well,
anyone
if he
thinks
wants
that-
to subscribe to the Lasercomb Patreon at $10 a month, yes.
If you're listening to this on the Patreon, but you haven't listened to Too Much Energon, episode 48, we discuss the issues 1 through 5, and we have a lot of good and a lot of bad things to say, but our the things that Christopher doesn't like are not the same things that I don't, and vice versa
Right.
about the writing and the art. But Eric Burnham comments in, I think it was the YouTube
Yeah.
upload of it. So yeah, go and interact with the writer.
Yep. Go to the Lasercomb YouTube.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Say
So-
hello.
Tell him you accept his apology. So Megatron and Optimus are fighting, and
Megatron's
exchanging-
much bigger than Optimus.
yeah, and looking at my War for Cybertron Kingdom figures, the scale actually kind of works.
Okay.
The size difference isn't that vast in the show, but
Yeah. Don't you see everything you do here is futile, Primal? The history of Cybertron is being written. Yes, here and now. And then he pulls a very Optimus Primal move, and he's like, "You, Megatron, you talk too much," and he like axe handles him in the arm and escapes his grasp.
I like how Rhinox is like charging toward Snapper. What's its name? Scold. And is
Yeah.
like, "Attaboy, Optimus!"
Attaboy, Optimus! You're handling your own, and I'm just over here fighting a turtle. But he's in his like rhino form, digging his like horn into Scold. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what Megatron says there. He's like, I suppose it's possible that I'll pay dearly one day for my generosity. Very well, Optimus Primal, you will stand against me to your end. But I remain generous despite that, and I shall allow you your name to
name.
grace the historical records of my new empire. That
So
man, I like that. I like
Yeah.
the writing for him in this.
Yeah, and he like T-Rex head mouth lasers and ends up hitting Pterosaur in the process.
You know what happens here? Nyx is fighting Pterosaur in the air, and she throws Pterosaur into the laser. The
Mhm.
trajectory of the beam.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we're back to Tarantulas doing creepy Tarantulas bullshit.
Yeah, and he's like basically he's bitching about how obsolete the maximal computer systems are compared to what he's used to.
Yeah, and he should be able to hack it easily, but he's not able to.
Yeah.
So he's shit talking it, even though he's unable to get in. Maybe you're just too dumb to work it out.
And Rat Trap shows up in a fucking maximal power loader.
I love that. I fucking love this, man.
I was like,
It's
okay.
straight up. Yeah, he's straight up Ellen Ripley move here.
Yeah. It's
He's got this power loader. It's great.
Rat Trap's got the power loader.
He does.
Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts of it one way or another. I was just like,
it's just cool.
that's surprising.
To level the playing field.
It's got kind of a Metal Gear look to it, honestly.
Yeah, and the way it's a little bestial, and it's got like a fin, and
it's got like two different like shoulder mount things on it. I don't know. It kind of reminds me. It looks like a mix, and like the cockpit like kind of looks like the mouth of Metal Gear Rex when it's open.
It's a little
like,
Rex-ish.
Yeah, so it looks like a kind of a mix between Metal Gear Rex and a power loader from Aliens.
Yeah, and the asymmetrical like weapon loadout. Yeah,
I dig
and,
it. I
dig
the design.
Yeah,
I guess I do have thoughts about it. Lo and behold,
there you go. Tarantulas like just tries to book it and run, and Rat Trap's like, "Not so fast. This thing's good for squashing bugs." And he grabs him, and he throws him out a window.
Yeah,
And good riddance.
So that was funny. I'm like, we never saw anything like that on Beast Wars.
Like him hiding and being like, "Oh, I can't take him on one unless," because the Rat Trap we're used to is very competent in combat. Even though he's smaller, he's very, and in fact he's beaten Tarantulas one-on-one at least like a couple times.
Yeah,
multiple times. Agile. They always square off.
He's a good shot. He's got like all kinds of bombs and gadgets and whatnot.
They've squared off a lot, those two. You know how Cheetor's always against Scorponok?
Yeah.
I feel like this is show accurate too, because Rat Trap is often taking on Tarantulas.
Yeah.
He's kicked Tarantulas' butt on the show more than anyone else, I think. And indeed, he kicks his ass here too.
Right Pretty through satisfying. A window.
Right through a fucking window. And then Rat Trap's like, "All right, time to fix the force field."
And he puts the shields up.
He brings up some vid windows showing the combat outside. Crystal ball video, if you will. Because he's literally getting shots of like right beside and but like behind some of the Predacons and Maximals as they're fighting each other, and I'm like, where'd he get these videos? Are there drones outside? So he's got a little crystal ball action
Yeah.
going
He has
on
a
here.
crystal ball of his own. Yes.
And he even comments and he's like, I could watch this all day,
Yeah, so
but
he
I suppose I should help him.
puts up the shield and radios the Maximals and is basically like, get in the shields, motherfuckers.
Right?
And Nyx is like trying to pull Dinobot along too, but oh no, he has a Predacon energy signature, so he can't be inside the shields.
No.
So
And he
he's stuck.
quickly gets surrounded by the Predacons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I'm
he's
like,
stuck
uh-oh.
outside having to square off against all of the Predacons on his own. And
I
he's
fought
none
them all once before. I can do it again.
yeah, he's none too worried about it. He
No.
has his drill rapier and his whirlicopter out and he's ready to rumble.
Yeah, and I love Dinobot in this because Megatron's like, oh, the difference is now that we have you surrounded. And Dinobot's like, there are only 5 of you. I'll make this quick. And I'm like, so edgy.
Yeah.
Only
Unfortunately,
5?
he gets fucked over because Tarantulas like sneaks up behind him and straight up impales him.
This is way more violent than I was expecting this comic to be.
Yeah, impales him through the back, like right through the chest, and
Yeah,
he has like a big ass hole on the right side of his torso.
like servo fluid like flies. Blue predator blood flies everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's down, folks. And
Yeah.
something weird happened. So the Predacons
When
really like
he goes down. I like the shot here. The Predacons are literally just like fucking stomping him. Like
so
like he's like Sting or something, and he's just like gone down on the mat, and like the entire NWO like surrounds him and
just
like they
stomping
grab the
him.
ropes and are like stomping him.
That's what's happening here. They're not shooting him and finishing him off. They're just like Pterosaur is kneeling on the ground next to him, bashing him with a rock. It's a
Yeah.
slobber knocker. My God. They're just punching and
Someone
kicking
get the
them.
authorities out here. What they're doing is illegal. This is not professional wrestling,
Well,
ladies and gentlemen.
indeed, that's what Nyx is saying. She's basically like, my God, we got to do something. And they're like, can we fire through the shield? And they're like, not with small arms, not with their weapons, but maybe the Axelon can fire through.
Yeah, the Axelon pulse cannon, which indeed it does. It shoots like right at the feet of Megatron, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah, so I feel like Eric Burnham should listen to this one because we're like, okay, obviously the what?
Yeah,
He's obviously watched the fucking show, as is evident in this episode.
yeah. It's
I
just
dig it.
unfortunate we didn't cover this one on the as a freebie, but
Yeah.
well, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? And instead of just shooting the Predacons dead, Optimus does a very Optimus move, and he like shoots warning shots. And he's like, now, Megatron, do you need a countdown? You better leave, naughty boy.
Fire a warning shot across her nose. Careful, you idiot! I said across her nose, not up it. I'm quoting Spaceballs.
Yeah. And then Megatron's like, Predacons, fall back. And again, another line right from the show. It's very Megatron line. And he gives Dinobot like one last kick.
I like the line that I like what Megatron says as they're retreating. Maximals never did understand the difference between winning a battle and winning a war. No. You were a fool not to press your advantage, Optimus Primal, and you will pay for it with your life one day. Beast mode. He looks
Mark
so.
my words, Megatron will be victorious.
This shot on this panel, which I might make the like episode art for this, like he has like such a like comical like underbite and like massive chin. It looks so stupid.
Reminds me of like early 2000s animation, like The Max.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
the big
Max was from
chunky.
the Max is from the 90s.
Oh, was the show from the 90s too?
Yep.
Oh, I guess I just caught it late. I
think
never
it was
saw
on.
that show
I
until.
think it was on in like 96, maybe.
Oh wow, okay. I never caught it until the 2000s when it was like late at night on Teletoon or something.
I think I remember watching it on I think it was on Showcase or something like that. Which was
Oh,
a
I
Canadian channel.
maybe,
I think
yeah.
it was on Showcase or something like that in like 1999. That's when I saw it.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Predacons,
he's
fuck
looking a
off.
little the Max like that. Yeah, they fuck off. He's a dinosaur. And then it cuts to our tried and true famous Jedi and Padawan training session between Rhinox and Optimus.
Yeah, I I didn't really like their sparring session at the beginning of issue 1, but I do appreciate that like this is kind of bringing the story full circle.
Yeah.
If you met like if this was say like an episode of like Star Trek The Next Generation, they would do that.
That
Like
is exactly how they would end this.
if the episode had in the cold open had like Worf and Riker on the holodeck sparring and
That's
like talk,
exactly who I thought of.
yeah, and like one of them is like Riker second guessing himself and like Worf's giving him advice. The end of the episode would after everything went down.
Except this time
and
Riker would like deliver a winning
yeah,
move.
and he
Yeah.
would be like, "So you help me figure out."
Yeah.
So
Underappreciated.
agreed.
Well, that's our review of Star Trek for I kind of skeptical of it in what was it episode? But I'm yeah, I like you said, it kind of comes full circle.
Oh no,
and
that was issue 1 that
it
happened.
was issue 1, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that that Primal is like this new hotshot captain, and Rhinox has been around for quite a while. Like he's clearly supposed to be like the elder of everyone here.
Yeah.
But Optimus doesn't really have anyone who he can talk to. And indeed, he didn't have anyone to really talk to on Beast Wars, the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually kind of like that dynamic that he does open up to Rhinox in these little sparring sessions.
So
they ask how Dinobot's doing.
Yeah, I was just yeah. So how's Dinobot doing? And his damage was extensive, but
it didn't hit his spark, so he might be fine.
Yeah, but the CR chamber can only do so much. So Dinobot shows up on a crutch, which kind of looks like his drill rapier that's been like repurposed, which I found kind of funny.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Oh man, is he gonna be like? Is this flipping the show on its head? And like in the comics, he's gonna be like what was that TV show with the doctor that used a cane?
I don't know.
Dang it, I can't remember right now. TV show with Doc House.
Oh, okay. Right.
I'm getting like a House vibe. Like, is he gonna like use a cane for the rest of the show? Because he really hammers home. He's like, "Hey, Optimus,
I'm a cripple.
I'm damaged. I'm a cripple now.
I'm gonna leave." And Optimus is like, "No, stay. We want you to join us." And Dinobot's basically like, "Well, I won't be of any use to you."
Yeah, I'm a warbot and I can't fight. So before you dismiss me, I'm just gonna you can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah.
And he's like, hold up, do you know the designation Dinobot? I actually really like this. It kind of enters like a little flashback to like the Great War. And I guess the Dinobots were a faction of Autobots, which, as we know, is true.
Yeah.
They were savage but courageous and fought bravely until their untimely disappearance. They're long-standing source of inspiration to maximal peacekeepers, and I see their qualities living on in you. Will you consider staying? And he's like, but I told you I can't fight, dog. And he's like, well, I'd be honored if you'd stay. Oh, okay.
Well, I accept.
Cool. Wow. You guys are different than the Predacon.
Yeah.
He's taking a while to register that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's issue 6.
That's
the
issue 6.
next issue is apparently going to be about Black Arachnia.
They show some of the cover art for the next issues and previous issues.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm looking at the one for part 7. And I really dig that.
Yeah. I like that. I like the cover art.
The art is like a kind of a combination of this art style and Beast Wars. But I mean, that's always the case where people are like, wow, look at the cover art. And then they open it up and they go, ugh. Well, especially in your case.
Especially in my case.
Too much energy.
And we're back in the future. Anyway, that was I absolutely stand by everything I said in that video, even though I don't remember a single thing because we recorded it 2 years ago.
I don't stand by it. I was wrong. Whatever I said in there. Official apology video soon to come.
That can be the official apology can be right. I could put a disclaimer at the beginning of this episode. The views expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views or opinions of its hosts, Christopher Siege and Lio Cal.
Even though it's us talking.
Even though it's us talking. Anyway, that was issue 6 of IDW's Beast Wars 2021. Best way to support the show, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. We're at the single $5 Gary tier. You get a whole bunch of cool stuff. That's right.
A Gary tier. I'm doing a little Lio Convoy myself here with my whatever is happening here.
Quite the glorious mane. Follow me on Twitter at Lasercomb. You can follow the show proper at Too Much Energon. Or you could follow Cal at
NeoCal on the Twitter and TikTok. NEO_KAL.
We'll be back next week with episode 115 of Too Much Energon, where we're going to be talking about issue 7. Still traveling into the past. Before we go, though, one thing I want to bring up is we just launched a new podcast for the first time in quite a while. It's a little podcast called The Commercial Zone. It is a research-based show where we talk about old commercials and marketing campaigns. By the time this goes live, that first episode will have already dropped, and I'm pretty proud of it. So if you... Yeah. We talked about the 1980s McDonald's campaign, Mac Tonight, which if you're watching the video version, you can see both of our backgrounds feature artwork of Mac Tonight. So if you're curious at all as to what the hell that is, go check out the first episode of The Commercial Zone from Lasercomb Productions. Anyway, as I mentioned, we're going to be back next week with 115 of Too Much Energon, and until then, I'm The Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal.
Thanks for listening. We will transwarp into the past again next week.
Maximize?
Terrorize.